Did you know that 50% of marriages in the United States end in divorce? A staggering statistic, isn't it? It's a reality that paints a grim picture of the institution of marriage in our society. And while divorce is challenging for all parties involved, it's the men who often bear the brunt of the financial and emotional fallout. Let's take a moment to consider the story of John Doe, a man who, like many others, found himself on the losing end of a divorce. John was your typical middle-class American, happily married, or so he thought, until his world came crashing down. The divorce proceedings were bitter and drawn out. He was left with nothing: his house, his car, his savings, all gone. The emotional toll was equally devastating. He felt as if he had failed, not just as a husband but as a man. John's story is not an isolated case, it's an all-too-common narrative for many men in our society. They enter into marriage with hopes and dreams, only to find themselves stripped of their assets and their dignity in the event of a divorce. The emotional damage is profound, leading to feelings of despair, depression, and in some extreme cases, even suicide. Furthermore, the financial implications can be severe. Lawyers' fees, alimony, child support, these are just some of the costs that men often have to bear, and these financial burdens can last for years, even decades, long after the divorce papers have been signed. What's even more disheartening is the lack of societal support for men going through a divorce. There is a pervasive stigma that men should just man up and move on, which only adds to their emotional distress. This is the shocking reality of divorce for men in our society. It's a reality that we simply cannot ignore. It's a call to action for us to start having more open and honest discussions about the impact of divorce on men, and to find ways to support them during this challenging time. The impact of divorce on men is a reality we cannot ignore. The institution of marriage, as it stands today, is not always advantageous for men. This statement may seem surprising for some, but for a multitude of men, it's a harsh reality they have to face every day. Let's dive into some of the challenges men grapple with in matrimony. Primarily, there's the financial burden. When a man says "I do," he's not just pledging his love, he's also pledging his wallet. In a traditional marriage, men often shoulder the majority of the financial responsibility. This expectation can be a heavy load to bear, and it's a pressure that many men feel, even if it's not spoken out loud. Then there's the societal expectation of men being the rock of the family. Men are often expected to suppress their emotions to provide emotional support for their family. This can lead to emotional exhaustion and mental health issues in the long run. Now let's bring this to life with a real-life story. Meet John, a successful businessman who felt trapped in his marriage. He was the primary breadwinner, working long hours to provide for his family. He felt a constant pressure to earn more, to provide more. The stress of fulfilling the financial demands and societal expectations left him feeling emotionally drained and disconnected from his family. Marriage, which was supposed to be a partnership, felt more like a one-sided obligation. It's important to note that these issues are not isolated to John's experience. They are pervasive, touching the lives of many men who feel the weight of these expectations and burdens every day. This is not to say that marriage doesn't have its benefits. It certainly does. But it's crucial to acknowledge that for some men, these advantages are overshadowed by the pressures and expectations that come along with the ring. Marriage can sometimes feel like a losing battle for men. It's a hard truth, but it's a truth we need to confront if we are to create a more equitable society where marriage is a partnership, not a burden. The aftermath of a divorce can be devastating for men. It's a truth that, while uncomfortable, needs to be addressed. The fallout from a divorce isn't just about the immediate emotional pain, the confusion, the sense of loss. It extends far beyond that, seeping into every aspect of life, leaving a long-lasting impact. Imagine, if you will, the story of John, a happily married man, or so he thought, until one day, his world came crashing down. His wife wanted a divorce, and in the blink of an eye, his life was turned upside down. The home he had built, the family he cherished, suddenly seemed to evaporate into thin air. In the aftermath, John found himself facing not just the emotional turmoil of a shattered relationship, but also the financial difficulties that came with it. He was suddenly responsible for alimony, child support, and the division of assets. His financial stability was yanked out from under him, leaving him reeling. But it didn't stop there. The psychological effects of divorce are profound and far-reaching. The stress, the depression, the anxiety, they all took a toll on John's mental health. He found himself struggling to sleep, to eat, to function. His work suffered, his relationships with friends and family strained. His world became smaller, darker, a shadow of what it once was. This, unfortunately, is not an isolated case. Many men, like John, find themselves grappling with these same issues in the aftermath of a divorce. The financial strain can be crippling, the psychological effects debilitating, and in a society that often fails to fully acknowledge the emotional struggles men face, it can be an incredibly lonely journey. It's important to remember that every man's experience with divorce is unique, but there's no denying the common threads of financial hardship and psychological distress that weave through many of these stories. It's a stark reminder of the potential consequences of a marriage gone wrong. The aftermath of divorce is a long and often difficult journey. It's a journey that can feel impossible to navigate. But acknowledging these challenges is the first step towards understanding and ultimately, change. The high divorce rate and its impact on men has long-term effects on society as a whole. Let's dive into the societal implications of this phenomenon. Picture this: men, wary of the potential pitfalls of marriage, decide to shy away from this institution. This could lead to a drastic decline in marriage rates, with more and more men choosing to remain single or cohabitate without the legal ties of matrimony. What does this mean for society? Well, a decline in marriage rates can have a ripple effect across various aspects of social life. For starters, it could lead to a drop in birth rates, as studies have shown that married couples tend to have more children than their unmarried counterparts. This, in turn, could impact the demographic structure of our society, leading to an aging population without a robust young workforce to support them. On another front, the decline in marriage rates can have significant economic implications. The institution of marriage often encourages economic stability and growth. Married couples are more likely to buy houses, invest in their communities, and provide stable environments for raising children. Without this driving force, economies could potentially see slower growth or even stagnation. Moreover, the psychological effects on men can't be ignored. The fear of losing everything in a divorce can lead to increased stress levels, reduced self-esteem, and in some cases, serious mental health issues. This not only affects the men involved but also their families, friends, and the wider community. Additionally, the changing dynamics of relationships can lead to a shift in societal norms and values. As marriage becomes less common, norms around partnership, family, and commitment could undergo significant transformation. We also need to consider the impact on future generations. Children growing up in a society where marriage is seen as a high-risk proposition for men may develop skewed perceptions of relationships and commitment. This could further perpetuate the cycle, leading to more hesitancy around marriage in the future. The societal effects of high divorce rates are far-reaching and profound. Our society may be at the cusp of a major shift, a shift that could redefine the way we perceive and engage in relationships. Women play a crucial role in changing the narrative around marriage and divorce. This isn't just a statement, it's a call to action. It's a call to change the status quo that has been established for centuries and has left many men at a disadvantage. Women, the other half of the equation in any marriage, have the power to bring about a significant change. It starts with acknowledging and understanding the pressures and disadvantages that men often face in marriages and divorces. It's about stepping outside of the traditional roles and expectations and looking at the situation from a broader perspective. Mutual respect is the foundation of any successful relationship. It means recognizing and valuing the contributions that each partner brings into the marriage. It's about acknowledging the sacrifices, efforts, and commitments that men make in a marriage. It's about understanding the emotional toll that a divorce can take on a man and offering support and empathy instead of indifference or hostility. Understanding is another critical element. It involves empathizing with the struggles men face, not just in the context of a relationship or a marriage, but in the broader societal context. It's about understanding the societal pressures and expectations that men face and how these can influence their behavior and decisions within a marriage. Equality in a marriage means ensuring that both partners have equal rights and responsibilities. It means ensuring that the financial and emotional burdens of a marriage and a divorce are shared equally. It means advocating for laws and policies that protect the rights of men in divorce cases and ensure a fair and equitable distribution of assets. Changing the narrative around marriage and divorce isn't just about improving the situation for men, it's about creating a more balanced, fair, and respectful society for everyone. It's about ensuring that every person, regardless of their gender, can enter into a marriage with confidence and security, knowing that their rights will be protected and their contributions valued. Women hold the key to changing the narrative around marriage and divorce. So let's use it wisely with empathy, understanding, and a commitment to equality. Let's change the narrative and create a better future for everyone involved. While the current state of affairs is disheartening, there is a way forward. Indeed, the narrative may seem grim, but it doesn't have to remain that way. It's time to shift our gaze towards potential solutions, towards a brighter horizon. Let's delve into some practical steps that can be taken to alleviate the issues we've discussed. Firstly, let us talk about prenuptial agreements. Often judged harshly, but in reality, they can provide a layer of financial security and clarity. A prenuptial agreement is a legal document signed before marriage outlining the property and financial rights of each spouse in the event of a divorce. It's not about lack of trust, it's about having an open conversation about financial expectations and liabilities. Moving forward, let's address the importance of marriage counseling. It's not just for couples on the brink of divorce, but a useful tool for all stages of a relationship. It provides a safe space to discuss issues, resolve conflicts, and improve communication. By seeking help when needed, we can often prevent small misunderstandings from escalating into major disputes. Lastly, let's not underestimate the power of open communication in a marriage. It is the cornerstone of any relationship. Honest, clear, and respectful communication helps build trust, resolve conflicts, and foster mutual understanding. It's not just about speaking, it's equally about listening, understanding, and empathizing with your partner's perspective. The role of women in this shift cannot be understated. Women too can cultivate a healthier perspective towards marriage and divorce, understanding the importance of financial independence, and striving for an equitable relationship. We need to dispel the notion that marriage is a battleground and divorce a war. Instead, let's view marriage as a partnership, a shared journey, and divorce, if it comes to that, as a respectful parting of ways, not a total devastation. We need to foster a culture of respect, understanding, and equality in our relationships, and it starts with each one of us. It's a challenging endeavor, no doubt, but the potential for positive change is immense. The path to change is challenging, but not impossible. In conclusion, the high divorce rate and its impact on men is a pressing issue that needs to be addressed. We've taken a deep dive into some harsh realities, uncovering the many ways in which marriage, in its current state, can be disadvantageous to men. The aftermath of divorce often leaves men grappling with financial burdens, emotional turmoil, and societal stigma. The ripple effects of these struggles extend far beyond the individuals involved, impacting society at large. The disadvantages men face, however, are not set in stone. They are the result of societal norms and expectations that have been ingrained over time. But times are changing, and so can these norms. It's crucial for us to recognize the issues at hand and work collectively towards creating a more balanced society. We've also discussed the role of women in this. Women have the power to challenge and change these norms. By advocating for their partners, they can help foster a culture of equality and understanding. It's not about placing blame, but rather about acknowledging the issues and working together to create change. Moving forward, it's essential to keep these conversations going. Talk about these issues with your friends, family, and partners. Challenge the norms that perpetuate these disadvantages. Advocate for legal reforms that ensure fair treatment for all parties involved in a divorce. This isn't just about men's rights, it's about human rights. It's about creating a society where everyone is treated fairly and equitably, regardless of gender. It's about creating a world where no one is disadvantaged because of societal norms. But remember, change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, and it starts with us. We need to be the catalysts for this change. We need to be the ones who stand up and say, enough is enough. So let's start today. Let's start now. Let's start with this conversation. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Woke Detour for more insightful content. Let's create a better future together.